You're listening to the Kings of the Ring Podcast Network.
As we enter 1987, it seems a lifetime ago when the World Wrestling Alliance was so evenly divided into 7 major territories, until the Empire State's Jonathan Kane died, and his genius but obsessive and borderline sociopathic son, Julian Kane, took over and waged war on the entire wrestling world to remake it in his own image. An image that would turn the sport into a Disney family cartoon, run in all 50 states, and ruled exclusively by him. A plan to erase everything his father built by stomping out all of his father's friends and stealing their top-drawing wrestlers to use against them. Some opposed him right away, many ignored him, but everyone underestimated Julian Kane and waited far too long to take action. One of the few who understood the significance of Julian's rise was Nigel Davies, a longtime pioneer and advocate for the sport, orchestrated Black Saturday and backstabbing partner Brutal Bob Walker, selling their Atlanta territory and the only wrestling show on cable TV in exchange for a top executive spot. For years, he guided and mentored Julian Kane as they expanded and attacked the rest of the alliance and breaking new grounds in media and television, until finally revealing he joined Julian to learn his secrets and weaknesses so he could one day return to the alliance and stop him. One who opposed Julian was the outlaw Jesse James, the everyman babyface champion of the South and arguably the smartest booker in the sport. After Black Saturday, hooked up with Daniel Hawkins, legacy owner of the Carolinas, to create a counterattack of the hottest wrestling in the country. With Hawkins' family wealth and Jesse's smarts, they built out the entire Southeast. But all came crashing down when Jesse found out that the nonsensical world title switch Hawkins forced him to make last year was a result of a sexual trade the beautiful valet Miss Kitty cut with Hawkins to put the title on her depressed mid-card husband, beautiful Barry Lovelace, after he suspected she was in love with the bleach blonde suit-wearing heel champion Diamond Donnie Gold, whom she had nursed back to health after he broke his back in a plane crash. Jesse quit and hasn't been back since. Her husband divorced her, and she moved back in with her father, grizzled old wrestler and former co-owner of Atlanta, Brutal Bob Walker. Bob's been MIA since Black Saturday years ago, until Hawkins brought him in to book after Jesse James quit. But now Nigel Davies has come back, running the alliance, and Brutal Bob doesn't know what's going to happen. Burt Ironside's All South Wrestling remains the only one left west of the Mississippi after Nellie Gotch just sold the enormous American Midwest Wrestling to Julian Kane after learning the secret of all secrets. Burt, the patriarch of the most popular wrestling family in America, has been plagued by scandal ever since Julian began his war, starting with the most popular son, Michael Angel, bolting for that empire, and Burt trying to replace him with a fake Angel brother, and the fans found out. Then son Gabriel Angel was arrested for driving drunk and high with his in-ring arch enemies, the Southern Rebels. And with the oil crash of 1986, uncertainty is abound. After being arrested at an anonymous gay hookup spot, the emotionally battered Michael Angel was fired by Julian Kane and continued his careless sexual habits and intensifying drug addiction, almost dying from an overdose in Japan. Burt believed Michael was literally reborn as 100% straight and brought him back to All South. So desperate for his father's affection, the now sober Michael tried hard to play the part, much to the frustration of brother Gabriel, who saw him spiral in the first place from years of oppressing his true nature. But it's been one success after another for Julian Kane's Empire Wrestling Federation, led by their superhero champion, Thor Hansen. It took years for Julian to turn the naive and gentle blonde giant into a commanding franchise and locker room leader. But it's all backfired, as Thor's ego and insecurity has become a consistent problem, and he's politically undercut anyone who could challenge him, from patriotic hero Corporal Punishment to the perfect prospect Vance Armstrong. But after selling out a 100,000-seat stadium for a dream match with worldwide attraction, the 7-foot, 500-pound Goliath, Thor's stock has never been higher. And here we are in 1987, with only 3 territories left to oppose the mighty empire, who runs shows regularly throughout Canada and everywhere in America except the Southeast and Texas, with syndicated TV, cable TV, and specials on MTV and NBC. The Hawkins family, which ran the Carolinas for decades, has amassed Atlanta and St. Louis with Supreme Alliance voting rights and a red-hot territory behind champion Diamond Donnie Gold and his Diamond Club faction. Nashville remains, but small in size, and while All South Wrestling covering from Texas through Alabama is reeling, might there be hope with Bert's young nephew from Philadelphia, Chris Stanley? The neurotic young man, originally slated to intern under Jonathan Kane before his untimely death before the war, ended up with Uncle Bert Ironside and has been forced to grow up fast in a wild and rough environment, pushing his mental anxieties to the limit. However, that came with incredible creativity and innovation, which has quietly made All South a low-key treasure trove of edgy TV production and compelling gimmicks. That has all been brought along slowly, as Uncle Bert has made him climb that ladder, rung by rung, over the past decade. By the end of 1987, the territory wars will end absolutely. But who will emerge the victor from these Kings of the Ring? Can Julian Kane finally snuff out the alliance? Something he should have been able to have done seemingly every year, but something always happens to derail him. Or will Nigel Davies take his experience, connections, and knowledge to exploit all the strengths of the entire World Wrestling Alliance and the weaknesses of Julian Kane to take down the Empire? Find out in the 7th and final season. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kings of the Ring.